Welcome everyone to the CWI stream that takes place every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Today we are going to talk about the situation that is taking place, that is opened up in Sri Lanka with the election campaign going on at the moment for parliamentary election. Those who are familiar with the Sri Lankan politics would know the ongoing problems that has been taking place in Sri Lanka. But I'll give you a little bit of a brief. Sri Lanka had a very strong workers' movement. Sri Lanka is one of those countries where Trotskyists also had a mass base at one point in time. But the governments continued to attack the workers' rights, and in order to kind of maintain their grip on power, they also attacked the ethnic groups, and on an ethnic basis, and a national divide is also used in order to whip up nationalism, chauvinism, etc., in order to maintain themselves in power. The rights of the Muslim population, the Tamils in the hill country, the Tamils in the north and east were constantly attacked. The majority of the singular workers and the poor, however, did not benefit from this. It's only the government and the rich, the top layer benefited somehow out of that. But the singular poor and workers also suffered economic deprivation and also the democratic rights, etc., etc. Following the kind of brutal war that took place between the Tamil rebels and the Sri Lankan army for over 30 years, which came to an end in 2009 with a brutal killing and the genocidal slaughter that taken place. And following that, a war criminal government that was in power introduced many measures to increase their powers, executive powers, and so on. So in order to bring them down, there was an effort made in 2015 by some of the liberals and even some section of the left, supported the capitalist UNP government, United National Party, in order to bring them down. That did not work. In the last election, the Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who was a defense minister at the time of the war, was re-elected as a president. Now, in this general election, they might recapture the parliament, power in the parliament as well. But they want more. They want two-thirds majority in the parliament to introduce more constitutional changes, but also grip their power possibly forever in the country. This Rajapaksa clan is a group of war criminals and family members and corrupted people, etc., etc., among dominating, wanted to control the government and so on. So if this election goes that way, will there be a situation opening up in Sri Lanka, a dictatorial regime kind of take foot in Sri Lanka? The militaristic character increases in Sri Lanka, etc. At the moment, all the parties are divided, etc. In order to talk about more of this current situation, particularly also about the kind of historically very, very low in terms of growth, the economic crisis faced in Sri Lanka now is never been seen before, and also the political crisis as well. We have invited Sridunga Jayasuriya, is a well-known activist in Sri Lanka. Is very well known. It came third in the presidential election, and often interviewed everywhere. But he is also a general secretary of the United Socialist Party, which is the section of the Sri Lankan section of the Committee for Workers International. We also invited Pa Nadesan he's an activist with the Tamil Solidarity Campaign, to give us the details about the situation with the Tamil minority, but also in the diaspora situation, etc., etc. Siri, welcome, and Nadesan, welcome to the discussion. First of all, let me ask Siri, can you give us the details about what's happening in relation to the COVID-19 situation? Bit of it different, because the Sri Lanka has a history of nationalized health service, one of those neo-colonial countries, because of the strength of the workers' movement. And the COVID-19 is less effective. However, it did have an impact in terms of various situations that, in terms of economic condition also changing in Sri Lanka. Can you give us a little bit of a brief what's happening with that, and we'll start with that.
Yeah, the relatively COVID-19 is under control in Sri Lanka, but it is not the end of the matter. You see, this really the COVID-19 started the mid-March in Sri Lanka, something like March 15, 16, 17, we found the first the COVID-19 patient. But you see, 2 days after we got about 20 the patients. The president has the what you call island-wide nation speech over the TV, all the TVs, and he said, I mean, that I mean, do you? I mean, anybody is asking me to, I mean, lock down the country because we have found 28 the patients. I mean, he didn't have any idea about what is the COVID-19, what's the danger, how far it can spread to the other people. He didn't have anything. He was talking about the elections. He said, I mean, at that time, the election was, the what you call date was fixed for 25th April. He said, I mean, we want to finish the election soon, very soon, and I am appealing to the people to give us the two-third majority. I mean that's an indication. I mean the president of the country didn't have any idea about that. I mean the danger of the COVID-19. And one other thing is, I mean the COVID-19 really the Sri Lanka invited to come. I mean they could have easily, I mean, blocked the airports, blocked the ports, and everything, and what you call had the I mean the gate closed, right? But they kept open. They want to get some of the relations of the ministers who's studying in the Europe and other countries. They they spend the time. They're enjoying with that. And then when the things were stuck to their neck, only they talk about the I mean what you call lock down the countries and declare the curfew and other things. Then I mean to make it short about this, you see, in as I said, I mean, at the moment, I mean, COVID-19 is under control. I must tell the truth. But you see, that's because of the, I mean, National Health Service. We have, I mean, because, I mean, we have the very strong National Health Service. Because of that, that's one of the great victory by the working class in the early 60s or the early 50s. And but you know the trend was to nationalize these things, but still because of the fight given by the working class, trade unions, left organization, and students, and so we have, I mean, kept the I mean National Health Service up to some extent intact. So this acted very fast. I mean, doctors, nurses, I mean, minor staffs, and all the technicians and everybody, and the public health interested. They are the people who really face to the, I mean, the patients. And because of that, I mean, we were, the president and the ruling class is trying to get the credit that they have done. I think they have not done anything, right? Right? I mean, these people, I mean, the health service they did a great work to, I mean, get COVID-19 under control.
Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult situation still economically and so on. It had a massive impact in terms of tourism and so on. But to an extent, it is not the same as what we see in the US or some countries where the health service is privatized and so on. And that's one of the advantage. But in this election, what is going to happen in this election? Gotabaya Rajapaksa likely to win the election as it stands. Is that correct? And also, can you give us a little bit of details about the election situation that is taking place and give us the picture in terms of what's going on?
You see, I mean, this morning I had the TV program. In the same, I mean, sort of question came about, I mean, what is Gotabaya's plan and what is expecting. I mean, of course, he's expecting two-third majority. The main reason he's giving to the people, he wants to change the constitution. I mean, since 1978, where Jayawardena brought this new constitution, I mean, all the opposition parties at that time opposed this new constitution. And even the UNP, recently, I mean, it's about 10 years ago, they took a decision. They prepared to abolish the presidential system. But you see, in the general trend in the country against the dictatorial, the presidential system has ruined this country. But you see, after 40 years, this Gotabaya is asking for more power. He wants to, get more power to the presidential system. This is really going reverse, right? Why? The present the presidential system is has enough powers to president. Why he is seeking the more powers? That's the secret. That's a secret. He wants to, use this parliament as a cover, as a democratic face to the people and the world. But he wants to, run by under control by the military system. In future, I think his plan is to, some type of Pakistani situation, right, where the army is, doing the bulk of the work. I am the king, I am the ruler of the country, so he can, that's kind of arrangement he's trying to get it. So in this context, this election is a very crucial. After 72 years of the British the independence, this is the sort of turning point of Sri Lankan so-called capitalist democracy. So it can is going to put it to practice now.
I mean, it's an important point that Siri you made there in terms of this the crucial aspect of this particular election. Since the independence, for a long time, since independence, there were fight to defend the workers' conditions and etc. that takes place in the country. But now the current election could change quite a lot of that. They are proposing to change the constitution, go on the offensive in terms of implementing the IMF led privatization, etc. So they wanted to grip as much power as they can in order to carry through this, but also using the kind of war victory mania that take away the national rights of the Tamil population, but also the religious rights, and everything is under attack. So it is a crucial election from that point of view. In terms of opposition, and we will come back to and ask a bit more in terms of the division that's opened up in the opposition. There is no clear opposition exists against Gotabaya. The UNP, the capitalist UNP, is divided into two parties, and the left is in disarray. But before we go into that, I would want to bring in Nadesan to ask a little bit of what's the situation in the north, because the TNA, the Tamil Nationalist Right-Wing Party, if you can call that way, because this party is a bit all over the places, had enjoyed in the past a kind of commanding majority among the Tamil population. They have voted as a kind of vote against the government. They voted this party in the past. That is changing right now, and first time in the history in the north, there is a splintering taking place, and there is not all the organizations been divided in the north as well. Can you give us a picture in terms of what's going on in the Tamil areas, Nadesan?
And what's yes, when you talk about particularly in the north and of course the east as well, we have to think about the east as well. First, when we talk about north, the Tamil National Alliance, which is a very right-wing party, which is a very right-wing alliance, Tamils in the parliament, particularly after the 2009 war and everything. So this party also has problems now, and they also divided into the various has a various organization, as well as even between inside the party, the big leaders also divided into different scenarios and different. They put forward different statements about this election. Why is happening? That is the most important question. When you see the north, there's a massive rise about the nationalism. That is happening because of the failure of the TNA's political programs. I believe because they were opposition party for past parliament, which they collaborated with the UNP and the so-called good governance, and they were there as an opposition party, but they didn't act as an opposition party. They supported all the budgets, which is called the IMF budget, and they supported all the programs put forward by this so-called good governance. And they said they didn't bother about Tamils' rights or Tamils' problems, as well as the problems all over the Sri Lankans faced at the time. So this situation let Rajapaksa regime come back very strongly. This is what actually happened in there. Because of that, other parties or Tamils in the north, what they see these other parties, which is split from the TNA, which is led by the Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam, which is called Tamil National People Front, which is the very nationalistic core party, we can say. And this party, and another one is called, which is led by C.V. Vignesh. He was a chief justice, and he was a prime minister, chief minister candidate for the TNA when the election was held for the northern province. So he also came out from the TNA, and he also formed the party, and he also conducting in the election. And there's another party called Elam People National Front, which is EPDP, which is led by Douglas Devananda. They were sort of working as a paramilitary group, in that very strong paramilitary group in the north when the war was going. Even after the war, we can say till 2015, it worked as a paramilitary group with the government, and their cadres are funded by the government. So at the moment, these are the main parties are conducting in the election and standing in the election, particularly in the north. So what people see is, at the moment, they are suffering from the poverty, and there's a very lack of rehabilitation and resettlements, and everything is hasn't done by properly for after the war. I think almost we are passing 11 years. These sort of thing hasn't been done by any government, or the works or the TNA hasn't put forward these demands to the government, which they supported in the last parliament. They have that kind of power to hold the government in the power, but they haven't put forward this demand to happen to clear Tamils, at least Tamils issue in the north and east. So what people are thinking now, why they want to vote for the TNA? Because they act as another wing of United National Party, which is well divided now. There's no. I think we heard the news that they have suspend 109 members of the UNP because they split into another party. So when these kind of situations emerge there, when the Tamils from the north, they think why they want to vote for the TNA, they can vote TNPF, or they can vote for the Vigneswaran Chief Justice Party, and they can vote for EPDP as well, because all other parties are talking about development, and they're talking about the constitutional reform, and they're talking about the daily issues. So what they propose, they will go to that parliament, and they will somehow collaborate with this government and sort out these issues through the parliament. And they never put forward any political program, or they didn't try to build any political forces outside this electoral politics. So people see, if TNA also, Tamil National Alliance, also doing the same thing, why they can't vote for other parties who is long time with government? They are now the situation we can see there, the people are even ready to vote for the party, for the people who is standing in Rajapaksa party. So because that's only the party is not divided in Sri Lanka at the moment, we can see all other parties are divided somehow. So these are the situation emerging in North, and the first time ever we can see, I think for last 30 years, we can see the first time Hindu fundamentalism and mostly religious fundamentalism and the caste in the base of caste, the people have been asked to vote in that basis. So particularly the Hindu fundamentalism is more taking. They are taking more advantages there because of they having fundings, and they are having supporting from the Indian state, and it's directly they are funding these kind of fundamental elements over there. So openly in this election, they are speaking about people have to vote for the Hindus. In other hand, there's another Maoist party over there, and they openly asking to vote the oppressed caste people to them. So it's kind of identity politics they put forward to gaining the seats. When we compare to the East is a different situation, and East is there's a party called TMVP, which is led by name called Pillayan, who was a commander of the LTT, and they split before the 2009, and they are having a support. People believe they are going to get the more seats over there in the East. It's because of again the failure of Tamil parties, particularly the Tamil National Alliance, because they only work in the North and they don't care about the East, and they don't, because there's no more seats in the East, so they don't care about the East, and they don't come to East, and they don't look into what problems East people has. So these kind of elements is triggering there, and the East Muslim community and Tamil community living together in the same area. So there is elements that they are the Tamil parties, which is trying to represent East people using this anti-Muslim elements to gain their vote. The same thing is doing by Muslim parties as well. So this kind of conflict is rising in the East, and when you see a whole picture in Sri Lanka, there's a question that they can win 2/3 majority. Rajapaksa regime can win the 2/3 majority, but if they win it, or if they gain more seats over there, who can challenge them over there? That is a question now. Is there any left forces there? The big forces, when we talk about JV, are they able to challenge them, or who else is going to challenge them? Because the Tamil National Alliance and all other parties put forward this idea to stop Rajapaksa come back to the power, which was a failure in the last presidential election. So their ideas and their the strategy is always staying with the lesser revelism. We can't surrender our politics in lesser revelism. We have to put forward our ideas, and we have to build the independent forces.
Yes, it is striking. I know those who are quite new to the Sri Lankan politics, maybe quite a lot of details and a lot of different names of the parties and etc. But generally, if you look at it in a general way, the warmongering party of the past, the family called Rajapaksa family, they created their own party, and that is the very strong force that is actually standing now in the South. Of course, the traditionally kind of for a while left-leaning but central party, but now is a very right-wing party called SLFP, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, which is part of them, where they are not standing as independently in the election. And the oppositional traditional capitalist party, the UNP, is divided. That's what Nadesan and Siri pointed out. Is divided into two different sections now. and they're not able to provide a proper opposition either. But the Tamils traditionally voted against these parties in the south, also divided. Within it, there are a few seats could go to the pro-government sections, such as which Nadesan pointed out in the east, but also in the north. Could be even 2 or 3 seats. Some of them say, we don't know at this stage. But on the other side of that is that the traditionally representing the kind of Tamil nationalism and the right wing party, this Tamil nationalist party, the TNA, Tamil Nationalist Alliance, might lose out quite a bit to the section of the much more harder Tamil nationalist two more parties that emerged in the past. So there is no clear cut winner out of this or clear opposition that exists. So before I bring in Siri to ask me more questions on the left situation, can you also, Nadesan, give us a picture in terms of the role of the diaspora? I know you're working here in London and also among the diaspora outside of Sri Lanka, but as part of the Tamil Solidarity, leading member of the Tamil Solidarity, give us a picture of, in this such a sharp situation, what is the diaspora organizations are doing in terms of this Tamil diaspora organizations doing and saying at this stage?
To be honest, Senan, there's I believe there is no almost this organization, Tamil diaspora organization, they don't do anything and they don't care about the election. This is the situation here. Not only Sri Lankan election, they don't care about any other elections. They always hanging out and lobbying with Tories. That's what they only do. And they believe, and they not only believe, they campaigning that people has to funding the money for to meet the parliament. They want money to flying to and staying at the hotels for meet up these parliamentarians and world big leaders and going to UN, and they're spending the time with these things only. And they don't, when we ask about the position about this, at least about the Sri Lankan election, and what they're saying is they don't want influence in there. Let the people to vote, and they will accept the people's decision. This is what they always said, and now also they are saying that one. And I've just heard about from one of the we have been asked to participate in a show with a Tamil organization. There's lots of organization here. Only Tamil Solidarity has been confirmed to participate in the show without asking who is going to come. And there's no other one. I think there's only one organization agreed to come and take part, and they also haven't been confirmed his participation yet. So these are the situation almost here, because they don't want to talk about Sri Lankan. They don't have any decision or any stand about this election to direct the people or to put forward the ideas to the people to vote in Sri Lanka. But some individuals or some parties in Sri Lanka has some influence directly with some organizations here, and they are getting money from them, and they have some sort of links with them only. But I don't see the organizations here. They have any influence with the people over in Sri Lanka, or they don't have any influence in the organizations or parties in Sri Lanka. But most of the people in diaspora, particularly the youth, they have a huge support for the party called Tamil National People Front, which is led by Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam, kind of a nationalistic party. So they have some kind of support from the youth from the Tamil diaspora, and that party they have some kind of support even in Jaffna, even in North. Also, they having most of the youth having most of the youth supports going with the TNPF, I believe. So the same situation in diaspora as well. But they, which is kind of a, about that, a party from the Tamil Nadu has a big support here. Not only just the support, they having a huge amount of funding going from diaspora, particularly from Tamils. After 2009, Tamils are funding that party. But unfortunately, any parties from Sri Lanka, any Tamil party doesn't have that kind of ability or that kind of strong support from the people who are living in diaspora, or who are living in outside Sri Lanka, we can say. So this is a political question: how a party from the Tamil Nadu getting the more funding and the support? Because when we say about funding, it's a political consciousness. People are giving the money without any questions. They are giving the money, but unfortunately, these Tamil parties from the Sri Lanka, they don't have any influence in here, and the same as any organization from diaspora has any influence in Sri Lanka as well. Only Tamil Solidarity is put forward their demands, not only in an election, even in the UK election also. We taking part, and we take that opportunity to campaigning to the people, which is very good opportunity to speak to the people, to put forward our political idea.
Yeah, thanks, Naresh. And I mean, we'll come back to what we stand. I mean, that's clear that the various different organizations we just talked about, a little bit an abstract in really, because so it's what these organizations are doing and etc. But in reality, in the election, what they are putting forward, what program, what are the things that they're saying they're going to do when they get elected? Oh, this is very, very much an absent in this particular election with all the Tamil parties as well as the other parties. It's such a huge political crisis that is a reflection of that. And I wanted to bring in Sri to ask the kind of what in this situation.
Speak louder.
Yeah, in this situation, what's the situation? What the left? What is the left, and what is it doing? You know, the JVP, the kind of a party. It's JVP. Difficult to call it a left party. It's a kind of a singular nationalist party with a Marxist rhetoric. They claimed that they'll be in power by 2020 in the last election, for example. All these things. What is the situation of the left? What is the situation generally happening? But also, can you answer a little bit more about what is likely to develop after the election as well, in terms of the changing conditions and etc. and threat that exist for the nationalized services, health and education in particular. How the kind of economic situation as well. Can you link it up with that also? Just give us the situation of the left in Sri Lanka at the moment.
There are a number of important the questions or points came up from both of you in the contribution discussion. I don't think we have time to go to discuss those. First of all, start with where the Nadesan mentioned about the Gotabaya is seeking for 2/3 majority if there's any possibility. I will categorically say there's no chance of getting 2/3 majority for the Gotabaya and Mahinda Rajapaksa. In fact, I will say there was a strong opposition in the country if it is there. There's some possibility even defeat Gotabaya and Mahinda. People are frustrated. People have low hopes about Gotabaya, but this is nearly 9 months gone, nearly a year now. What he has done? There's nothing. Nothing. He has not done a significant thing he has done. So because of that, and the poverty and the unemployment and the middle age and completely out of the question. And the free trade zone and the import garments is in very hotel industry almost zero, right? So in the economy, the country is in the very very bad shape. It's going in my minus now at the moment. So there is no whatsoever. There's no plan how they go to build the power from the disaster after the COVID-19. You see, I mean, just before I come to the about southern politics, I like to say a few words about the situation in the north. You see, of course, the TNA as a one block, they put all the bets in 2015 to Maithripala to become a president and to Ranil to become the prime minister of the country. They gave the full of hopes to Tamil people. They're going to solve the national question through this the government. But nothing happened. Not even the small problems like the releasing political prisoners. They could not get released. So in the people are really frustrated about the TNA, how they the work. They give the blind support to the Maitri Ranil government in the first period, and the later period they gave the blind support to the Ranil Wickremesinghe without any reasons, without any justification. And because of that only, the Tamils in the north, the people are. There's a pressure from the people to come out from the TNA to bring out do some action. So unfortunately, of course, there are, like Naresan said, there are 4, 5, the 6, different groups are contesting in the north. Starting from Dagral Devananda to, Tamil National Alliance through Vigneswaran and Gajendra Kumar Ponnammal, through everybody. You see, but this key question, of course, they are divided and they are trying to get into the parliament. What is the program they are putting forward to win the national rights people? How they are going to solve the national question? They don't have any of these people doesn't have any program, right? So that is the key problem. Of course, they are fighting each other to get into the parliament. But what are they going to do after up to the parliament? They don't. None of these parties have any clear program how to win the rights of speaking people, and that's what The United Socialist Party putting forward a program has a struggle, right, with the progressive the forces and the left forces and the working class in the south and the forces in the north who prepare to fight come together, because under the capitalist system, there's no way that you can find the last solution to the national question. So that's why we need to, of course, we can win some the demands in between, but you see, for that we have to mobilize the people. None of the parties are to mobilize the people, and they are behind the Indian government, Modi or somebody, and the Western countries and the United Nations. That's their key. They are worshipping those temples to help us to solve. None of those people is going to solve the national question. They are intervening onto the demand. So because of that, this is the very the crucial situation. Which I feel. Of course, they can divide it and put their own programs to the parliament. But the dividing the Tamils as a force is the key thing with the southern party, capitalist party. Divide the force in the north end. So up to that extent, they have to achieve the task. It's a danger there. The dividing the Tamil people into the many pieces. You see, then come to the situation in the south. You see, one other thing, as Seren mentioned. See, this is a very crucial period in Sri Lankan politics. All key traditional capitalist parties is divided. Not only the UNP divided, even the Sri Lanka Freedom Parties, the Bandaranaike's party is divided. Mahinda Rajapaksa has formed his own party, and Maitripala has his own party, right? And but the UNP, traditional UNP, so-called grand old party, the UNP and the SLFP is really withering away, really speaking. So new forces is coming, and I think Sri Lanka is open for the new ideas and new political period. So that's why where we have to intervene. In this situation, I mean, from JVP has formed, I mean, broad alliance with some intellectuals and many liberals and so on and so forth. And they are, I mean, they were telling, I mean, 2, 3, 4 years ago, their aim is to 2020 to come to power. Now they are talking of, I mean, get some the seats in the parliament. But you see, but the key thing is, I mean, they are absorbing to this present system, capitalist neoliberal system. They try, I mean, they are abandoned the idea of socialism. So they have gone away from the old, they are whatever that they have the left or the socialist traditions. They have become, I mean, the sort of right-wing social democratic party. And some intellectuals who are supporting them, ex-Marxists, they have lots of about socialism. They have lots of the Marxism. They have gone out of this socialism. So they can't claim anymore that they are socialists. So, I mean, there are so many friends like Kumar David, Vijay Kumar, Lal Vijay Nayak. I mean, so many people who was with us. I mean, with working together, and we were in the one party at that time. So one time. But you see, now they have gone out of that union. They are and supporting to get clean the neoliberal system, which I mean, no country and nowhere that you can clean the capitalist system, because capitalist system is born out of the corruption. So I mean, so in this situation, I mean, the left and working class has a very important role to play in this Sri Lankan politics. I mean, unfortunately, trade unions has not yet prepared to come together to form a broader alliance to discuss working class demands and to fight for a common agreement come from their joint committees. Of course, I mean, there's some tendencies developing towards to form a broader trade union front, but it is very, they have to travel very far to achieve that the target. So this is the situation, and the left, and the LSSP and the CP and the NSSP and which Vikram Babu's party, they have now become a part of the capitalist parties. Vikram Babu has joined the capitalist NP, Vikram Singh, and Vasudeva has joined the Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Samasamaja party has joined the Rajapaksa, and Communist Party has joined the Rajapaksa party. They have absorbed to the, I mean, the communal, the right-wing communal the political ideas. So and I think after election there is the new discussion will start definitely to how we can form the broader working class party, and where the Marxists can fight within that the force. But you see, we need to form an independent working class party, because the Gotabaya is trying to establish a semi-military role. Maybe, I mean, direct military role. We don't know, I mean, how the confrontation is going to take place after the elections, and that will decide, I mean, which way he is going to go. It's not, I mean, the one-way traffic for Gotabaya. Right, Gotabaya is already becoming unpopular. I think he will he get, I mean, unpopular among the masses, because he has no program to solve any of the burning question of the poor masses, working class youth, and other important thing. I mean, this the Gotabaya's the rule is really alone the rule. He's not talking about the North. He's I mean, this election there's whatsoever, there's no discussion about the national question, right? Other than the attacking of the communal way to the Tamil party. So this is a dividing in the north and the south to two the entities, you see. So this is in a way, this is a very serious question is posing this Gotabaya. I don't think they even they are talking about the united country. There won't be a united Sri Lanka in future.
Yeah, I mean, the USP, the United Socialist Party, is standing in the election as well. Siri, if I can bring you back in, can you give us a little bit about what we are putting, what the USP is putting forward, and what's the kind of situation there in terms of reception and so on? Because you mentioned an important point where all the parties are divided, and the Gotabaya himself will never be able to put forward any policy to recover from the economic hardship that is coming to the working class and the poor in the country, and he is really likely to become very unpopular soon after the election. And there is no alternative that exists for those who are facing these conditions to come forward in a platform to struggle, and that is a dire need exists for a creation of a mass organization of the workers and the poor and so on, and the Tamils oppressed sections and etc. So what we are putting forward in the USP in the election, Siri.
You see, I mean, as I said just before, I mean, one of our key demand is to, I mean, the forming of the broader trade union alliance is something like TUC early days in the United Kingdom, you see, and to discuss the matters of the working class and to take the joint decision and to, I mean, campaign for the rights of the working class. So that's the need for the day, I mean, today, for the broader trade union alliance, in spite of the union differences and ideological differences, that they should form an alliance to discuss and take the decision. Another thing is, I mean, we are campaigning for a broader working class party, where all the, I mean, the youth and the radical elements in the country, and they all should come together and form the broader working class party, where all the ideologies or the factions or they can work within, and they can discuss their the theoretical position. So these are the two important things in this country. And because you see, the capitalism has been proved they can take the country. They have again over the 72 years, I mean, which I mentioning in our program, and they have no right to, I mean, ask for the power again, because they have been power. I mean, those two parties have been in the power in this country. For example, the UNP was in power until the end of last. So they have done to the people. The people will vote for them. And the Mahinda Rajapaksa was in power from the 2005 to 2015. Why they are campaigning so big way to get the votes for attract the voters to their side? Because they have not done anything. This country is, I mean, rather than going forward, this country is going back. I mean, they have not taken a country for inch forward. So that's the what you call the record of this the two major capitalist wings of this country. So because of that, I think there's a very big vacuum in the country, that to form a broader mass alliance which fight for the, I mean, neoliberal the policies against the neoliberal policies. Another, I mean, in the end of the Ranil government, I mean, they trying to, I mean, sign the agreement with the America in the MCC, the agreement, Millennium Cooperation agreement. Now, the Gotabaya is, I mean, keeping I mean, he's not telling anything. But he, I mean, one thing, I mean, soon after this election of the August 5th, I mean, within next 1 or 2 or 3 months time, he definitely, I will bet with you, I mean, he will MCC agreement. So that is the America want to, I mean, put the hand into the Sri Lanka against what the China doing in their program. So this is the interest of the China and America. The Sri Lanka is, I mean, getting squeezed into these the major forces. So this is very danger, and there won't be, I mean, any independence of this country. So what we are thinking for a independent, I mean, the Sri Lanka, I mean, from this, I mean, the major power blocks in the world, that we need to form a powerful mass base.
Yeah, thanks, Sri. We didn't have lots of time to go into the geopolitical aspect of it and so on in the South Asian region and in Asia. In the future discussion, we will come back to those kind of discussions. Today, before I end it, just wanted to bring in Nadeshan towards the end to kind of give us an idea in terms of what Tamil Solidarity is standing for. Because Nadeshan pointed out in terms of the diaspora organization do not have any position in relation to what's going on in Sri Lanka at this stage, and they stuck to their own ways of really hoping that something will come out of the UN capitalist institution or the Tory party here or any of the right-wing organizations, etc., while the TNA destroying itself by having collaborated in the past with the UNB, capitalist UNB, and continuing that policy and so on. So in these situations, what the Tamil Solidarity is putting forward, what's your kind of stance and so on? Can you give us a little, very briefly, Nadesan?
Yes, sir. Particularly, what Tamil Solidarity, we put forward, particularly in the election, and we continue to campaign about the stand. In the election time, we have to put forward our idea to win our rights. So this is the main thing, that we can't surrender our politics for the lesser revelism. So we can't vote for, or we can't see which is which is a better devil we can vote for and we can win our rights. We can't take our stand in that kind of position. So we continuously work with CWI in Sri Lanka, Sri and USP as well. So we support them when they're standing in the elections. Through them, we put forward our idea. Mainly, we openly said that to win Tamil's rights, to win our national rights and all other rights and all the democratic rights, for that we have to get an alliance with the South politics, or our comrades, our natural alliance in the South. So this is the same idea that we are going to put forward in this election as well, that we have to look at through the political programs where who support democratic rights of Tamils and who support the national question of Tamils, and who is stand against this capitalist programs, and who can stand against this, who can really stop Rajapaksa regime to come and having a big power and put forward their having a big power in the Sri Lankan state, spreading their kind of militarization in all over the Sri Lanka. They already started to appointing civil servants. They have already started the military persons as a civil servants. They appointing chief commanders and military personnel as a civil service into the civil service department. So how we are going to stop
servants, undermining the civil servants and the government officers?
Yeah,
exactly. So how are we going to stop this? So if we are going to support the UNB, or if we are going to support any other parties or SLFE, is it possible to stop it? So there is no other way that we have to build an people platform independently. It has to be an independent organization with the working class of Tamil, Sinhalese Muslims, all other people in Sri Lanka, and of course trade unions and our natural allies. With that only we can fight against these Chavanese forces which is arising again in Sri Lanka. I think when the Rajapaksa regime was removed in 2015, the same independent platform has been built by our natural alliance as well. So, but it has it's gone into the different ways, and it went into the different wrong path as well. But that is the same idea that we are going to put forward now. The people have to think about before they vote. They have to vote for or the political program, or they are going to vote for the populist leaders or populist parties over there who can solve the issues in the long run. Because it is not that we are not going to give them an illusion that India or America or UN or the Western countries coming together and save you. These kind of illusion are putting forward after the 2009. After 2009, this kind of the illusion has been built by the diaspora organization as well as parties in Sri Lanka. We don't need to lie to the people. We have to tell the exact situation, and we have to mobilize the people. We have to organize the people to fight against this brutal regime. Through that way, we can win our rights.
Yeah.
So I'm just finishing this. I'm asking the people who is watching this one, if anyone having interest, or if anyone want to discuss about more about this program and our ideas, please join us, and we can discuss with you more about this, and we can continually work with USP and CWI in the basis of bigger program.
Thank you, Nadesan. And I think both Siri and Nadesan ended on a very important note, that what's the dire need for establishing a mass workers organization, but also in terms of in the coming election, looking at the program, who stand for who stand for the right political program in terms of democratic right, in terms of national rights, in terms of in the longer run, who is going to achieve the benefit for the poor, the workers, and the oppressed minorities in Sri Lanka, which is inherently linked to overthrow of the capitalism in Sri Lanka, and so on. So we will have to discuss a bit more in terms of what's the kind of further development that will take place in Sri Lanka in the coming period. And I'll echo the last point that Nadesan made here, that those who are watching, who are interested, who are not part of the CWI, in any part, wherever you are from, please do contact us. Initiate a discussion. If you wanted to join, if you wanted to start work in your area, please do contact us. But also you can read more on various analysis that will continue to publish in relation to Sri Lanka and Asian countries and throughout the world in the socialistworld.net website of the CWI. But also please do follow us on Twitter in the @CWI Socialist. Also like our page, Facebook page on Socialist World CWI, and you can also follow us on Instagram, Socialist World, but also CWI Media. Like us on the YouTube on the CWI Media. Please share our ideas, circulate our ideas. Most importantly, get involved. Please also donate towards the streaming that we bring you every Tuesday. Thank you very much. See you next Tuesday.